Are you a mom who feels overwhelmed, constantly on the go, and like you just can't keep up? And at the end of the day, you can't even remember what you did all day long, much less what you've accomplished? If so, I can totally relate. And this video is for you. Hi, I'm Jody. Welcome to my channel where we talk about all things slow, simple, and sustainable living. I help moms find more peace, purpose, and joy in motherhood. So, what is slow living and why is it trending right now? Well, in the simplest way that I know how to describe it, slow living is more of a mindset shift than anything. It's about intentionally focusing your time, your energy, and attention so that you feel more present and connected throughout the day and less distracted and rushed. Okay, so let's talk about what slow living is not. Because I think a lot of people, when you hear slow living, you think like slow paced. And if you're a high energy or high performance kind of person, think, oh, that's not for me. It's not about the pace of life, it's about the mindset. And it's also not about a boring life. You don't have to erase all things and like, all activities from your calendar to live a slow life. It's also not about some dreamy fairy tale land way out there. Those are the things that I think a lot of people think when they hear the word slow living. But I just want to erase all of that because you can be a high energy, high performer, go person who still is able to make the mindset shift and incorporate more intentionality and presence. Okay, and so why is this trending right now? Well, I don't think this requires a lot of explanation. Most moms are busy, rushed, overwhelmed, dead. We live in hustle culture, and this is just like the alternative to that. Most moms' nervous systems are in survival mode. I was there for probably 5 to 6 years of my life. And finding something that is a little bit more soothing for the nervous system seems more important now than ever before. Okay, so a quick story. When my children were little, I got in a habit of saying real quick. My babysitter would come over and I'd be like, I'm going to take a shower real quick. I'm going to run to the store real quick. I'm going to do whatever real quick. And at one point, my babysitter looked at me and she was like, you don't have to do that real quick. You can take your time. You can take a long shower if you want. And it made me realize just how unintentionally I was doing things real quick, but how programmed my brain was that I was saying the words real quick after everything I said. And this is where slow living came into my life. And it really transformed my day when I decided to stop doing life real quick. So now let's get into some actionable steps that you can take to start living more slowly, even if you are the busiest mom in the world. Number one, start your day slow. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything like you don't have to have some morning ritual. Just don't start your day on your phone. Don't start your day chaotically rushing to make breakfast for everybody. Wake up, and even if it's only 5 minutes, it's amazing what just 5 minutes can do for you. But wake up and start your day slowly, quietly, and intentionally. This really sets the mood for the whole rest of the day. I can't recommend this enough. I start my day each morning with meditation and journaling. And if that appeals to you, then go for it. I highly recommend it. I'm going to do a whole video on meditation because it's so important to me. But if you're like, oh, I don't want to meditate, Jody, okay, sit and drink your morning cup of coffee or tea on the couch in a dim light with no noise, with no scrolling, with no children, even. And I know what you're saying. Oh, I don't want to wake up before the kids. I hear you. And if you have newborns and you're not sleeping at night, then, maybe it's not the season for you to get up that much earlier. But like I said, just 5 minutes really makes a huge difference. So, number two, finding mindful moments throughout the day. Sounds really simple, and it is. It's very simple. It's just about not doing multiple things at one time. I am guilty of multitasking. I want to do all the things as quickly as I can. And we all know that multitasking it's not good. It's never more productive than doing one thing at a time. So, doing one task at a time and doing it mindfully. This is something I've just started to incorporate. So I love to listen to music or listen to a podcast while I'm washing the dishes and while I'm cleaning. And sometimes that's fine. If that's what you need, like a little boost of music to get you through the chore that you don't want to do, then go for it. But if you can occasionally just put away your phone, turn off the music, the podcast, whatever, and focus on washing the dishes or cooking the dinner, be present in that moment. It really shifts the energy of yourself and what you're doing. So, finding mindful moments throughout the day is super important and very easy to do. One of my favorite ways to do this is during mealtime. We all eat multiple times a day. It's like the perfect time to stop everything else and sit and focus on your food. It's also much better for your digestion to sit and eat slowly and mindfully. Um, so that's one simple, easy way to find a mindful moment. Maybe it's just while you're eating, maybe just one meal a day. Make it easy and make it accessible. And you will see the difference. You will notice the difference in your mood when you're done. Another way that I really love to have a mindful moment is truly engaging with my kids. Now, one of my kids is homeschooled, and so I'm with her all day long. And it's like, do you really need a mindful moment with your child when you're with them all day long? Well, if you're anything like me, you can go through an entire day with your kid and not actually sit and truly focus on them. Happens all the time. We're all like, doing the things we got to do. But even if it's just 5 minutes, 5 minutes of looking into their eyes and listening to them, or sitting with them on the floor and observing and just being there as they play. We do something called highs, lows, and buffaloes at night, which is where we just all go around and talk about what was our high of the day, the most, exciting moment, our low, most challenging moment, and our buffalo, which can be either a surprising or a funny moment. And this is another like end of the day check in that we do. And I make sure that it's a mindful moment where I reflect and I listen intentionally, like completely looking, listening to my children talk about their day. And it literally takes, probably a minute each for us to go through it. And so it's really quick. You'll be surprised at the difference it makes when you spend just a few moments mindfully connecting. So, those are a few examples or ways to incorporate mindful moments. There's lots of other ways to do it as well. Just even setting a reminder on your phone, check in, mindful moment, breathe. So, that's another really easy, quick way to slow down. Okay, so number three is decluttering. And I know this one, it's not so easy. This one takes some time and some work and some effort on your part for sure. This isn't an overnight kind of thing. But take it from someone who has moved. I'm about to move for the fourth time in the last 3 years. Doing a huge declutter is life changing. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but I am telling you, nothing has transformed my life. Well, I don't know, meditation might, but very few things have had as great an impact on my life and my mental clarity as decluttering. So, I'm not going to talk a lot about decluttering because I am definitely not your declutter girl. Okay. This channel is not going to be about decluttering. still, like, I battle with this and it's a constant practice. You will declutter and feel like, oh, I've done it. And then in 10 months, you will feel like you are drowning in toys and things and messes all over again. So it's a never ending process, but it is so worth it. And there are so many studies out there that show that a clean, clear space is so much better for your mind and your mood. And if you're like, Jody, I have a million kids, my house is never clean. I don't mean like spotless, perfect clean. I mean just minimizing the toys, minimizing the things you have so that everything has a place in a space. And do it one drawer at a time, one room at a time. I personally started with my closet. I had so many clothes from before I had kids when I was in my 20s that no longer fit, that weren't even my style if they would have fit. And I just held on to them for, I have no idea why. I started with my closet. I got rid of everything that didn't fit, everything that didn't feel good, everything that wasn't my style. And now I have like this much space in my closet of clothes that I actually love and that I can go in there and pick out anything and feel pretty comfortable in. And that's where I started. And it's a good place to start. So, another really good place to start is toys because I know that toys can like just take over a room. There's a book called Simplicity Parenting by Kim John Payne. Highly recommend this book. It's a great book. And he talks about like fewer toys are better for your children. So if you have a room full of toys, same thing with our minds. They walk in and they're overwhelmed and they don't know what to play with, and they play a lot less with all of the toys. If you narrow things down and you give them just a few at a time, try it and see what happens. Because I promise you, they will play with those few things so much more than they did when they had a room full of things. Like I said, I've done this. I have eliminated so much over the last few years, and it has felt so good and freeing to know that I have just what we need, just what we use, that everything has a place. And it feels so much lighter to not be living in clutter and mess all the time. And again, I don't want you to hear this and think like you have to have a perfect house and it has to be spotless. That's not the point at all. It's just getting yourself to a place where you can do a cleanup or a pickup on a room, and it can take you between, I don't know, 5 to 20 minutes instead of feeling like it takes a whole hour to clean a room. That makes a big difference. It saves so much time and stress. Trust me, decluttering. So, again, I'm not the expert on decluttering. I will give a shout out to two channels that do a really good job of talking about decluttering. The Minimal Mom. I love the Minimal Mom. If you don't follow her, go check her out. Also, Margaret Matheny, love her too. She talks about decluttering and all the things. So, two shout outs to some other mamas who do a much better job than me on the decluttering. Number 4, read a book. So simple, right? But when you are holding a book and reading a book, you are forced to slow down. You can't read and focus on a book and be multitasking and thinking of all the things. Um, Reading a book really does force you to only focus on one thing. So that is another super quick, easy, simple way to slow down. Slow your mind down, slow your body down, just slow down. And again, I already mentioned this book, Simplicity Parenting, but if you haven't read it, check it out. It's a great book. So that's simple enough. Read a book. Number 5, say no more. This is a big one. I'm one of those who likes to go and do. And when I get an invitation, I really want to go. But if I go to all the birthday parties and all the invitations and all the school things, I would not have any downtime. I would not have one single day of rest. And so saying no more often has been one of my top priorities this year. And it's really changed my perspective on just prioritizing the functions and the events that I do go to. Connecting with the people who mean the most to me is very important. So saying no to the things that I feel like, oh, I should go to that, but I don't really want to, has opened up the window for the things that are like, oh, I really want to do that. So protecting your time is so important. And I can't remember who said this, but someone else said, every time you say yes to going out to eat, you're saying no to family time at home and a home cooked meal. Every time you say yes to going to this, you're saying no to doing that. So looking at it more and like, okay, if I do say yes, what am I saying no to as well? And that's really helped me like dial in the things that I commit to and go to. So that's been a big one for me this year. I have learned to say no more often. And it's made the things that I do say yes to that much more valuable. So say no more often. Number 6, time and nature. Kind of like reading a book. When you go out in nature, you are forced to slow down. You can't rush around when you're outside. It is grounding, it is centering, just forces you to be there. I am a fanatic about going outside daily. I think it's so important. I'm a grounding, barefoot, natural, you know, hippy dippy mom for sure. So, being outside in nature, it's so important. And it doesn't have to be some long adventure. It can be as simple as sitting on your porch for 5 minutes. But that forces you to slow down. So, especially with kids too, I feel like kids need to be outside. So, taking just a few moments each day to go outside, rain, snow, sun, it doesn't matter. Kids love to splash in the rain puddles. It's a beautiful snowy day at my house today, and my kids have spent the entire morning outside building snowmen and sledding down the hill. It's just a really important and good way to be present and reconnect with the earth, the seasons, and you're forced to slow down when you're outside. My very last tip, a nighttime routine. We all know that nighttime routines are important. We know they're important for children to wind down, settle down, do your bedtime routine or whatever. Well, we often neglect ourselves as parents, right? We will do all the nighttime routine for the kid and then just fall into bed. I do this, but having a nighttime routine is so important. And having your own time to wind down is really the difference between a restful night and a not so restful night. So, taking the time to unwind, turn off all of your electronics. I feel like I've said that a few times throughout the whole slowing down practices, but also something that really helps me is doing a brain dump at the end of the day. So I'm just like all of my thoughts, all of my most important tasks that I need to accomplish the next day down on paper. That way, when I go to sleep, my brain can rest peacefully, knowing I don't need to remember anything that I have to do tomorrow. It's written down. So, even if your nighttime routine is as simple as writing down what you have to do, your main, most important things to do the next day, it frees your mind to rest, like I said, more peacefully. So, establishing a nighttime routine, maybe that's when you read a book. Maybe that's when you meditate. Setting yourself up for the next day really can help you have a slow day tomorrow. It'll set you up for success tomorrow, which makes, you know, everything better. That's my final tip. Nighttime routines, brain dump, Prioritize your task for the next day and then rest peacefully. Okay, so those are my easy, accessible, you can start these today, incorporating more slow living into your day, even if you're the busiest mom in the world. Those are my tips for you. And I want to just share another little story here at the end. I was given a daughter who is probably the slowest child to ever be born. In kindergarten, her teacher told me, I feel like her spirit animal is a turtle, and she couldn't have been more correct. Really has forced me to appreciate the different paces of people and actions. And she has really helped me to embrace this slow living lifestyle more fully. And I can remember at one dinner we were eating and I was like, "Oh, come on, let's finish. Let's hurry or whatever." And she looked at me and she was like, "Mom, we're not in a hurry to eat dinner. Why are you rushing us? We're not going anywhere." It's almost comical that this child who can look me dead in the face and say, "Why are you rushing us? We're not in a hurry." And like I said, I feel like it's one of my greatest gifts that's helped me to embrace this lifestyle. So, on that note, if you have multiple kids, they move at different paces. And having some slow practices can really relax the nervous system, not only of yourself, but for your children as well. So, I hope that these tips are helpful. I hope you will incorporate some of them. Let me know in the comments if you have some other ideas or ways that you incorporate slow living into your life. And also, if you got anything from this video, please don't forget to subscribe or hit the like button. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.